What is up, YouTube? Zuki M1 here, and I am back with a brand new YouTube video. Today we are going to be counting down my top 5 picks for some of the best CCG games to play. And CCG, in case you guys aren't super familiar, are collectible card games. That doesn't necessarily mean per se like just physical. Today we're just going to be focusing on more of the digital aspect. So for people who don't necessarily have the ability to travel to card shops or able to go anywhere to be able to play, and these titles are all at the amazing price of free. So we're going to be counting down my top 5 free CCG collectible card games lists. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. So starting off our list, we are going to be starting off with a game that has been around for quite some time, and I know a lot of you guys probably had played it at some point or maybe has dabbled with it at some point or another. We're going to be talking about Hearthstone. So if you've been around on Twitch or been around in card games in general, you might have heard Hearthstone in passing or in a couple other different places. It is a free-to-play game. It is designed by Blizzard. I know Blizzard hasn't been on the best of lists for a lot of people, but it has quite the decent card pool, a really good player base, and it is a lot of fun. Now, is it free-to-play friendly, which is going to be the final verdict for all of the games that I put on this list? I would side on the side of no. This game, you will have to buy a lot of stuff to be able to be extremely competitive. Unfortunately, it is not an easy game to get into if you are trying to strictly be free to play. The sheer amount of grinding required to have any type of viable deck in that game would be astronomical, which is why a lot of players tend to move away from that game and started to move towards other CCGs. So it's a fun game, nevertheless, but it is extremely expensive to play at any level of competency. You can even try to play it on more of a casual level, and it's still very difficult to get the cards that you want, just because it's not easy collecting all the cards within that game, unfortunately. Now, moving on to my number 4 list, we're going to talk about Magic the Gathering Arena, or MTG Arena. Now, this game also has been around since literally almost the birth of card games in the States. If you guys know, Magic the Gathering is probably one of the most popular card games in America, along with the rest of the world, actually. Celebrated across multiple countries and continents and so on and so forth. An extremely popular game, and for good reason. It's an immensely fun game, very easy to pick up. I've seen all types of players from all across the world, very diverse audience. A lot of different people enjoy playing Magic the Gathering. Now, with that being said, this game you can play on a casual level without committing a lot of money, but with any card game, as we all know, it does get to a point where you do have to commit more money than need be to be at a competitive level. So can you enjoy the game on a casual level? For sure. But if you want it to be competitive, do you have to spend money? Yeah. And it's not like breaking the bank bad, but it can get to that point. Like, there are ways to grind to get the coins that you need to be able to play it, but it can be pretty difficult, especially trying to grind out hours and hours and hours without having any type of real progress. It feels very so final verdict, it's fun and it's easy to get into, and you can enjoy it on a casual level if you just wanted to make some fun decks. But if you ever wanted to get serious or competitive, expect to be breaking the bank on this one. All right, now moving on to the number 3 slot on our list, we are going to be talking about Gwent. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but The Witcher, that has been a long time running game that has been around. A book actually. It started off as a book, then it started off as a game, then turned into a book, and now they have a card game for it. It's been around since, I want to say, around like 2017 or something like that. So the card game has been out for some time. It is very easy to get into, very easy to collect cards in. You will have to spend a little bit more money if you wanted to, I guess, play something on a more competent level. But it's still very easy to get into, very easy to play. Not too much of a financial commitment. It's a fun game, but it doesn't have that active of a player base, unfortunately. So you won't be able to find that many people playing the game. So you won't be able to get into a whole lot of matches or a whole lot with the game, unfortunately. So that's why it's on the number 3 list. It would be higher if the player base was higher, but the player base for the game isn't as high as the other card games on this list. And again, the only reason why it's higher than like Magic or Hearthstone is because of the fact that it's more affordable and it's easier to play. Again, the only problem is that you don't really have that many players, unfortunately. Now, moving on to the number 2 slot on this list. And some of you guys might feel that this is a little hypocritical, but it is also factoring in some of the other points that I brought up. So be forewarned. Now, number 2 on this list is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Now, again, some of you guys may heard that and immediately say, yo, Zuki, you capping, bro. There is no way that this game is easy to get into. It is not free to play. I have to break bread to make a competitive deck. That is where you're wrong. The problem with Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel is trying to continue to build decks that you like. You can build a very competitive deck from the start and have that as your deck when you first start playing. So, for instance, myself, the very first deck that I built was the deck that I have in real life, which is a very competitive deck. I've been platinum 3 times on Master Duel, and it is a Ray Raptor Time Thief deck, right? And that was the first deck that I built. And then I immediately started building my Thunder Dragon deck. I have yet to spend a single dollar in this game. Now, that being said, I have grinded quite a bit of time in this game. But it's rewarding because the player base is there. The competition is there. And there are other aspects outside of just competitive and casual levels of gameplay. You can also play a single player mode to play against computers and challenge yourself by having pre-made decks, and you try to do your best to figure out the combos and figure out how to navigate that deck, which is pretty fun because it challenges your mental to think on the fly with a deck that you've never piloted before, right? So in those regards, the game is fun. It's very easy to play, but the number one reason why I bring that up is because the player base is extremely active. They draw players from all across the entire player base, so anybody from anywhere can play in Master Duels. That also include mobile players. So mobile players, PC players, people from Japan, people from Italy, people from Ireland, or wherever you are in the world, you can play against somebody. And that right there, that sole reason is why this game is so high on this list. It has a high player base. You can be free to play and you don't have to drop $1 on there and have competitive viable decks. And on top of that, you will never really be too bored, depending on the type of player you are. If you enjoy solo type of gameplay, if you enjoy multiplayer type of gameplay, competitive decks, whatever your cup of tea, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel tends to have it for you. Again, the biggest problem is that if you want to continue to build more decks, which most Yu-Gi-Oh! Players do, you're going to have to commit more time or money. And that in itself tends to be the frustration, right, with most people. But you gotta pick your poison. I mean, they gave you a bunch of pluses, so at some point the company does need to make some money. So I'm perfectly fine with the amount of transactions that they do ask you, and it's not like they literally put some type of promotion in front of your face every time that you're trying to play the game. Most mobile games, like, hey, I see you've been playing our game. Maybe you should buy some transactions. Just saying. Yeah. But on to the number one CCG on our list that is free to play. We are going to be talking about Legends of Runeterra. Now, some of you guys might have saw that already coming, but I'm gonna give you the reason why this game is number one on my list. So this game does in fact allow you to be able to get every single card in their entire library absolutely free. You do not have to spend a single dollar in this game. Me, a couple of my other in real life friends and other viewers that I've gotten into this card game played it for just literally a month, or sometimes even shorter, depending on how hard you're willing to grind. And we've collected every single card in the game. There's not a single card missing. And you're able to do this without spending a single dollar. And you might be thinking to yourself, that's absolutely ludicrous. How does Riot make any money off this game? Well, they have skins. That's it. And boards and avatars, right? They have cosmetics that you can pay for. The gameplay shouldn't be hinged on how much money you're willing to spend in a game. It should be hinged on your ability to play said game. So if I don't want to spend money on a game, I should not be required to do that to be good at that game. And Riot stands firm in that belief of you shouldn't have to pay money to be competitive. If you want to be competitive, you can be competitive. And they have a strong competitive scene in this game. The last regional that they had for Legends of Runeterra was a $20,000, you heard me, $20,000 cash tournament, split 4 ways amongst top 4. That is ludicrous. A game that is completely free to play. You can collect every single card in their library. Throws $20,000 cash tournaments for people to enjoy and play. That is amazing. You can't ask for a better type of game support. And they've recently added new functions for the game to make it even more enjoyable for their active player base. They have a solo mode where you're able to play against computers. They have an expedition mode, which is essentially drafting, so you're able to draft different decks and ideas and things of that nature. They have a gauntlet, which is basically like one of the most sweatiest card game modes, where essentially you pick 3 of your best decks and you play against other players and you try to win 4 matches in a row. You win that, you win this thing called a Prime Glory, which helps you get into the regional for Legends of Runeterra. So there are all types of ways for you to be able to be extremely competitive in this game. The most unfortunate part about Legends of Runeterra is the fact that it has a small player base, but it's not small enough where you couldn't find a match at any point in time of the day, but it is small enough to the point where it doesn't get enough publicity or enough exposure to most communities. When people think about CCGs, most of the time they're thinking about Hearthstone or Yeah, not really just Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering Arena, but that's because it's the actual virtual version of Magic the Gathering. So, you know, Legends of Runeterra has their work cut out for them, but I honestly believe that it's probably one of the best games to be able to get into, because it's not determined on your ability to who has the biggest wallet. It's based on the ability of who has the best strategy and skill. So that is my list. Hopefully you guys do agree. If you don't, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. But this has been Zuki M1, and I hope you guys have a great morning, great evening, great afternoon, and great night. But I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.